Bluey seems simple at first glance, but it hides gigantic details behind each episode. Have you noticed how many secrets are scattered throughout the series, including some that seem completely illogical? There is a detail with zero sense that many people have already questioned. The healers are dogs, right? But they live like humans. Talk, drive, work, get haircuts, attack the neighbor, pretend to be a rag doll. You know, they do everything a normal person does in everyday life. So why is there a washing machine running in that house? There are theories on the internet saying that this serves to teach routine to children. Other people argue that what appears in the laundry room are just towels and cloths, common items for dogs to lie on. But the series itself complicates that explanation. In the episode Sleepy Time, Bandit appears covering himself with underwear. Yes, underwear. That raises a real question. If they almost never wear clothes, why do certain pieces exist? This detail has a practical explanation, and it makes more sense than it seems. But I'm going to save that answer for the end of the video. So stay until the end, because today we're going to connect several secrets you never noticed in Bluey here on BBverse. This is one of those secrets that happens outside the main universe of the series. In 2021, on the second anniversary of Disney+, a special short was released bringing together classic and recent Disney characters at Moe's Tavern in The Simpsons to celebrate the Plusiversary. The episode is chaotic on purpose. Characters from various franchises mix together while Homer tries to get into the party and is left out. Among the appearances, names like Wreck-It Ralph, Maui, and several others show up, but Bluey's hidden reference does not appear highlighted on the screen. It is on the guest list that Maleficent holds in her hands. When she checks whether Homer's name is there, you can see Bluey written on the list. In 2021, the series was still growing internationally. It had premiered not long before outside Australia and had recently been acquired by Disney. Now, here comes the curious question. Why invite Bluey to a bar? Can you imagine a plausible reason for that? And since we're talking about Bluey appearing where she shouldn't, wait until you discover that there are entire episodes in which she almost does not appear. Can you imagine an episode of Bluey without Bluey? Well, that has already happened, more than once. The first case is in Army. The entire focus is on Jack, who is changing schools because he had difficulty memorizing things, following instructions, and staying still for a long time. Characteristics strongly associated with ADHD. The war game with Rusty becomes a practical way to show how he can evolve when he finds an environment that makes sense for him. He memorizes names, follows orders, and takes on the role of sentry with responsibility. And do you know the most curious part? Rusty almost became the protagonist of the series. Can you imagine the series being called Rusty? Because in this episode, Bluey appears for only 4 seconds at the beginning. That's it. And there's more. In Turtle Boy, the focus is entirely on Bandit and Bingo. Bluey simply does not appear. Meanwhile, in Slide, the story revolves around Bingo and Lila, while Bandit tries to take care of the backyard in peace. 3 episodes. The protagonist out of the center. That shows how big the Bluey universe is. Big enough to sustain itself even when the main character steps aside. Do you remember another episode where Bluey barely appears? Then comment down below with the hashtag Bluey so we can see if you really know the show. And if the series can do that within its own narrative, imagine what happens off screen. There is a secret that is not hidden inside the episodes, but in the impact they cause. When The Sign was announced as a special 28-minute episode, expectations exploded.
My God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone?
That equals 4 Bluey episodes in a row. And considering that each episode takes about 5 months to be produced, the audience's curiosity became huge. On premiere day, 2 million people watched the episode live in Australia. 2 million. That represents almost 10% of the country's population watching the same cartoon at the same time. And since the episode is filled with emotion, we probably had 2 million people crying together. That level of connection explains why Bluey surpassed the status of children's cartoon and became a cultural phenomenon. And speaking of details that go unnoticed, there is one that reveals something very important about Chili's professional life. In the episode, The Sleepover, Muffin goes to sleep at her cousin's house, but she is completely exhausted because she skipped her afternoon nap. Bluey and Bingo are full of energy and want to make the most of every second with her. To balance the situation, Bandit and Chili join the game and create an elaborate mission to tire everyone out. At a certain moment, Chili appears wearing a hat and a badge, acting like a police officer within the story. But that is not just any costume. That uniform is practically identical to the one she wears in her real job. Chili is an airport security officer. The hat, the flashlight, and the badge are part of her role in in-person inspections. A quick detail within a game subtly reveals her profession. And if you think that is already an absurd level of attention to detail, wait until you see what they hide even in toys that appear for 2 seconds on the screen. If you have ever heard of the Long Dog, you know that he appears hidden in several episodes as a small Easter egg. Sometimes he shows up themed, matching the story of that moment. In the final episode of the 3rd season, when we see Bandit trying to escape his daughter's individual games to watch the match, the detail appears again. In the scene where Chili goes to the door to answer the doorbell, the Long Dog is there in the corner, but this time, he looks different. He appears robotized with a futuristic look and even a small cannon attached. That directly connects with the toy Bluey uses throughout the entire episode. And at the end, when adult Bluey appears with her son, it is exactly that type of toy that the little one uses against Bandit. And there's more. In the transition that shows the Healer House years in the future, we see clear changes. The tree has grown, the palm tree has gotten bigger, the neighboring houses have turned into technological buildings, the radio tower has been replaced by a wind farm, and drones cross the sky making deliveries. Everything points to the passage of time without needing to put a text on the screen like 20 years later or something cheesy like that. And speaking of that, do you know what else is cheesy? Anyone who has not subscribed to the channel yet. So go down there to avoid being the only cheesy one in your group of friends. But getting back to the episode, if the series can plan even the evolution of the neighborhood, imagine the level of detail hidden in a simple name. In the episode Family Meeting, we have one of the most serious trials in television history. The accusation? Bandit allegedly let out a silent but deadly fart in Bluey's face. Seriously, I have talked about this episode so many times here, but it is because I absolutely love it. The creativity of making this stupid plot exactly like a dramatic lawyer series is genius. There is everything here. We have the impartial judge, the victim, the aggressor, the witness, the analysis of evidence, legal arguments. Man, they really cooked with this episode. Maybe that is why Bandit's fart was so strong and smelly. In the middle of the investigation, a plot twist happens. Why was Bluey in her parents' bedroom so early in the morning? And why was she messing with the headboard on the side of the bed? It turns out that Bluey ends up confessing that she was in her parents' room playing on the tablet secretly, knowing that she can only use video games on the weekend. It is at that moment that a small but special detail appears. Chili calls her daughter by her full name, Bluey Christine Healer.
Bluey Christine Healer. I sentence both of you to horsey rides.
Christine is a tribute to Nana, Bandit's mother, and there is something curious about that. Nana is one of the few characters with a traditional human name within the series, a family detail hidden in the middle of a joke about a fart. And since we started the video talking about something that seems strange, it is time to solve that mystery. Back at the beginning, the question remained, why do they wash clothes? The answer has everything to do with production. Each Bluey episode takes about 5 months to be completed. The animation is extremely detailed and requires a division into 4 teams working simultaneously on different episodes. Adding constant clothing to the main characters would greatly increase the complexity of the animation. That is why the protagonists almost never wear fixed outfits. Secondary characters, such as doctors, veterinarians, store employees, or the contractors, wear clothes because they appear at specific moments and need to be visually identified by their role. And Indy? She wears a vest because she has several allergies and follows a controlled diet, as we see in the market episode. The vest helps prevent her from hurting herself when scratching her skin during allergy flare-ups. Nothing there is random. Every choice has a technical and narrative purpose. And that is exactly why Bluey continues to surprise, even in the details that seem the simplest. If you like discovering these hidden secrets, subscribe now because the next video will have you looking at each episode with different eyes.